Erik Erikson's Stages of Psychosocial Development Theory, created by Alexis Roding. Erik Erikson was a neo-Freudian ego-psychologist who implemented many of his own ideas and beliefs to Freud's theory. Born in Germany on June 15, 1902, and died in 1994, Erikson had many personal experiences that influenced his interest in identity. One of the key forces behind this interest was the fact that he did not know who his real father was. The man his mother married was not his biological father, and that was concealed from him for years. The mystery behind his real parentage really drove his interest in identity. He is best known for the 8 stages of psychosocial development theory. Erikson fundamentally believes that if the needs for each stage are not met, the individual will develop an identity crisis at some point in their life. He insinuates that at each stage we encounter a crisis that needs to be solved. The resolution of such crisis will enable the individual to develop strengths needed to become healthy and confident people. The first stage is trust versus mistrust. The trust versus mistrust is the first stage in the psychosocial development theory, occurring from birth to 18 months. During this stage, the infant looks towards their primary caregiver for consistency and stability. The infant will develop a sense of trust if they receive consistent and reliable care. This sense of trust will be carried into future relationships. Infants won't feel safe, especially when threatened, if the care they receive is inadequate, unpredictable, and unreliable. If these needs are not met consistently, the infant may develop a sense of suspicion and anxiety, affecting their confidence in the world. Developing a sense of trust will allow the infant to have hope that even as a crisis occurs, someone will be there to help support them. Without this virtue of hope, the infant will develop fear, carrying the sense of mistrust as they grow. The second stage is stage 2, autonomy versus shame and doubt. Occurring between 18 months and 3 years, the child starts to realize they can do things by themselves. Allowing the children to choose and do things without requested support can help them build their self-esteem and learn to control their bodily functions. Learning to control their bodily functions gives them a feeling of independence. While the children who perform well during this stage will feel secure in themselves and their abilities, a child who isn't given the opportunity to assert themselves will struggle with feelings of inadequacy and self-doubt. Children at this stage are focused on developing a sense of self, independence, and personal control over physical skills. In this stage, success leads to the virtue of will, and failure results in feelings of inadequacy and possible overdependence on others. Stage 3, initiative versus guilt. The third stage in Erikson's theory is initiative versus guilt, occurring from 3 to 5 years old. During this stage, children become more assertive through play and other social interactions. The primary trait during the initiative versus guilt stage is regular social interactions. The child should engage with other children at school. Play is vital to this stage because it provides children with the chance to strengthen their social skills. If given the opportunity to plan and initiate activities with others, they will develop a sense of initiative and feel secure in their decision-making abilities. However, if this is not successful, the child will often overstep, be too forceful, and develop a sense of guilt. Too much guilt can make the child hesitant to interact with others, inhibiting their creativity and social skills. Children who do well in this stage have a sense of purpose, while those who struggle feel guilty. Stage 4 is industry versus inferiority. Between 5 and 12 years old is the industry versus inferiority stage. During this stage, the child may start comparing themselves to others as they have plenty of teachers and peers. If the child feels as though they are doing well, they will develop feelings of pride and accomplishment. Succeeding results in the child feeling diligent, believing they can set goals and accomplish them. However, if they feel as if others' expectations are too much or have repeated negative experiences, they will start to produce feelings of inferiority. As their friend group becomes a greater source of self-esteem, children who are encouraged and rewarded for their creativity and initiative will feel competent. Conversely, if initiative is not encouraged, the child will gain a sense of inferiority. Stage 5, identity versus role confusion. Identity versus role confusion happens between 12 and 18 years of age. Adolescents begin to search for a personal identity through exploring and experimenting. as they form their identity by examining their beliefs, goals, and values. During adolescence, the children are becoming more independent and look at the future in terms of relationships and career. It is during this stage that the child learns the roles they will occupy as adults. The individual wishes to belong in society and to fit in as the adolescent re-examines their identity to find out who they really are during this stage. At the end of this stage, the individual should have a stronger sense of self and what they want to do or be. Success in this stage results in one being able to accept others, even where they are different. Failing this stage results in role confusion and failure to establish a sense of identity within themselves and society. Stage 6 is intimacy versus isolation. Occurring between 18 and 40 years, intimacy versus isolation is the 6th stage. The major crisis during this stage is forming intimate and loving relationships. It is at this point that we open ourselves and explore relationships with long-term commitments. Success in this stage can result in secure and healthy relationships with a sense of commitment. The previous stage comes into play as people with a strong sense of self are ready to share their lives with others. Conversely, failure of the previous stage results in the inability to form committed and safe relationships. Failure in this stage can lead to loneliness and depression. Stage 7 is generativity versus stagnation. Generativity and stagnation occurs between 40 and 65 years old. It is characterized by the need to give. This can mean raising children or contributing to the community in ways that benefit society. Successful completion of this stage leads to feeling needed, as they feel they're contributing and being productive members of society. Stagnation occurs without positive feedback, feeling frustrated that they're struggling. They may feel disconnected or unmotivated to invest in personal growth. Generativity refers to making a mark by creating things that will outlast an individual, often benefiting other people. The last stage in Erikson's theory is stage 8, integrity versus despair. From 65 years old and until death is the stage called ego integrity versus despair. It's the time that we contemplate our accomplishments and develop integrity. Those who reflect and regret will experience bitterness and despair. Integrity, defined by Erikson, is a sense of wholeness. We become dissatisfied with life when we view ourselves as unproductive or feel guilty about what we did not accomplish. Success in this stage results in the virtue of wisdom, enabling the individual to reflect on their life with a sense of wholeness and closure, while accepting death without fear. This stage involves alternating feelings of integrity and despair that needs to be balanced, as it's the stage of reflection. Erik Erikson has surely had an impact on early childhood development and education. For example, he's provided a broad framework from which to view development throughout the entire lifespan. He showed that children develop in the context of society's expectations and prejudices, and under society's influence. It helps teachers understand how an individual can form their own identity throughout the different stages and ages of life. And lastly, he said that environment was a big factor in development, self-awareness, and identity, as it's not just biological factors. To conclude, I would like to say that Erik Erikson and his developmental theory has had a huge impact on childhood development, education, and how parents view their own children. And you can find my references, all the links that I use to find this information, right here at the end of the page. Thank you, and goodbye.